and welcome to 12 Days of Devrel here at Hazelcast. I'm your host, Fawaz Gali, and joining me today, our Director of Education, Hendy Appleton. Welcome, Hendy.
Hi, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Good to have you. It's a great session today, actually, because we're going to touch on Hazelcast training, which is quite important for our community. So we made it to day 11 of the 12 days of Devrel. So thanks so much for joining us today. But we still have a chance for anyone watching us now live to sign up for our 12 days of Devrel. So you will see QR code on the screen as well as a comment in the chat box. So feel free to sign up for a chance to win $500, which is great. It's going to happen tomorrow. So I'm excited for that one. And also, if you have any questions, so feel free to post your question on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or even on Twitch. So this is a great opportunity if you would like to know more about Hazelcast. And speaking about Hazelcast and about training, I'm very excited to announce the news of the four-star wave to announce Hazelcast as a strong performer for streaming data platform. So this is a great news for Hazelcast. So you will see also QR code on the screen. Please scan this QR code or click on the link and go to download this report and see why you need to learn about Hazelcast and why Hazelcast is a strong performer for stream processing and stream data platform. So with that being said, let's just deep dive into our topic today, Handy. So I would like to know a little bit about our training. And when I joined Hazelcast, basically the first thing everyone mentioned, hey, they told me basically, hey, go do the training first, which
Good.
I did. But before we do a deep dive on our training, maybe you do a little bit of introduction about yourself. Where are you based and what you do at Hazelcast?
Sure. Okay. As Fawaz said, I'm Hendy Appleton. I'm the Director of Education Services for Hazelcast. I've been with Hazelcast now for just over 5 years, so I am an old timer, and I've earned all these gray hairs that I have. uh, if you've taken any training before, you probably recognize my voice because I do all the narration. But today you get me live and unedited, so we'll hopefully I won't stumble too much. Um, I've been doing technical education for a very long time. Prior to Hazelcast, I was predominantly in the networking space. So I worked for the big names. I worked for Cisco. I worked for Juniper. I worked for some other startups in the networking space for years. And then, came to Hazelcast because it was time for a change to do something, take my training expertise, but move into a different area of technology. And it's been so exciting. It's been really wonderful to see something new and something different and kind of grow with the innovations that Hazelcast has had. But I'm based in Oregon, which is on the west coast of the United States. So it's cold and rainy here, which it probably is throughout certainly a lot of the same latitudes. Um, uh, I but yeah, I've actually lived here and been telecommuting for a very long time as well. So um, technology and being able to do things remotely is my life. I love training and I love teaching people and I love explaining things and trying to make things accessible um, without a whole lot of gibberish, right? And strip out the fantasy and give you the reality. And this is how this thing actually works. So I'm trying to do that with the training. We've got some exciting innovations coming, which leads me to my presentation. I actually have some slides for you guys because I'm a training person and training people always have slides. But this is not death by PowerPoint.
Sure. But before we go to the slides,
Sure.
I think one of the strongest points of Hazelcast is the learning curve, basically how easy to learn and get started with Hazelcast. So can you just describe a little bit what is unique about our education services and how do you make it so easy? Because my assumption is when the community wants to learn, they check our, Hazelcast training. So how do you make such complex topic, which is stream processing, distributed systems, make it so easy? So what is the secret sauce for our education and courses?
I think the secret sauce is that we really I try to break it down again and make this anything that we do, we back up, right? Um, all of our training includes hands-on components. So we're not just talking in the abstract. You're going to actually sit down and do something when you take our training. When you walk out of any one of our training classes, you're going to walk out with working code. And it may not be, it's not a full-blown application, but it's working code that you can then take and apply and tweak and repurpose. So you've, again, it's not an abstract. You've done something real. And we try to present it. My philosophy on training is two things. One is to break it down into digestible chunks, and then to repeat lessons or repeat information when you move from chunk to chunk to chunk, so that you see how all of those chunks fit together in the end. We've done that in the training. We're going to be doing more of that in future training courses and revisions of the existing training courses.
So
I'm not
that's
sure.
great. Yeah. So anyone watching us now live and would like to ask questions, feel free to leave your questions in the chat box below. Make sure to share this QR code with your colleagues and friends for a chance to win $500 tomorrow. So with that being said, feel free, Handy, to share your slides and let's
Okay.
just. Yep.
All right. So what I want to run through for you today is just a quick overview of what we have today. If you have not gone to training.hazelcast.com, and I will show that after I run through the slides. If you've not gone there before, you may not be familiar with what our offerings are. We do have several individual courses. 6 of them are listed on the screen. So if you're just brand new to Hazelcast and you've never really looked at it or worked with Hazelcast, take the Introduction to Hazelcast, Introduction to Stream Processing with Hazelcast. That course gives you a great overview of what the product is, how it works, how distributed computing works, how we take advantage of distributed computing, both for our fast data handling and for the stream processing engine. Again, it's not just abstract. When you finish that course, you're going to have done 2 different tutorials and have hands-on practice with Hazelcast, working with the entire capabilities that Hazelcast offers in terms of putting memory into storage, accessing that memory, doing searches, merging your stored data with streaming data, handling streaming data, creating pipelines. You do all of that in the introduction course. Now, it's still an introduction, which means that there's more to learn. So our developer credential path takes you through that process. So there's, you need to know more about stream processing. We have it's currently called the Stream Processing Essentials course, and I will get to the updates. You'll see that we are doing some replacing of courses and reworking of our content. And I'm excited about that. So I will, again, come back to that and what we're doing to make it even better. If you already have a credential, you're going to want to revisit those courses. Okay. So you take those 6 courses. When you finish those 6 courses, you are issued this badge where you can go out and tell the world, I'm a Hazelcast developer. I know the landscape of what it is to develop applications using Hazelcast. I have touched stream processing. I have touched in-memory computing. I have touched in-memory storage. I have worked with across the entire feature set of what Hazelcast has to offer. And again, not just abstract, you will have done it, right? You have hands-on tutorials throughout all of these courses where you've done the work. The other credential that we have today is the Hazelcast Operations credential. This is more for people who are doing the management of the Hazelcast system itself. Not to say that developers can't take this or this information isn't useful to developers, but it does focus more on the setup of of the Hazelcast system, right? So security, for example, securing the connections between Hazelcast and sources and sinks of data, between Hazelcast and databases, between Hazelcast and client applications, for example. So that credential is out there. It's another one. You'll see it. A couple of the courses are the same because we always want people to have that foundational understanding of Hazelcast and distributed computing and the operations of our system. And then configuring Hazelcast, because whether you're a developer, whether you're in operations, you're going to do some configuration of the system. So that's what we have today. Now, here's what's coming, and this is what I'm excited about. Stream processing. The Stream Processing Essentials course is going to be replaced with something called Writing Pipelines with Hazelcast. And the reason we're making that distinction is because the streaming pipe, and you get a badge for that. So this is, again, if you already have a developer credential, come back and take this Writing Pipelines class. You get a badge that verifies that you have the latest and greatest knowledge from us, and it focuses on the Hazelcast Java pipeline API. Why I am so excited about this change is that in addition to hands-on exercises, we're adding what I'm calling a capstone lab. You're going to build an entire application. And all three of these courses that you see on your screen are going to have those capstones. So you're not just practicing, say in the writing pipelines, you're not just going to connect to a source that's generating an integer, right? You're going to connect to a real data source that is generating real streaming data in real time, and you're going to be working with that. So I'm really excited about these changes. Same thing for the in-memory storage and in-memory computing. We're going to be replacing that with Fast Data 1 and Fast Data 2. The separation between storage and computing was a little bit artificial. If you are working with storing data in memory, you are probably going to need to use some of our in-memory computing functionality. So separating those two didn't make sense. So we're reorganizing it, putting it together in just sort of an A and B course. And again, each one of those courses is going to have a capstone exercise where you are creating an entire application. A new course, brand new, is the SQL on Hazelcast. We've had our SQL functionality for a while, and again, it's sort of mixed into the existing courses in stream processing. So you do SQL streaming SQL, you do SQL with in-memory storage. Now, we wanted to bring that out and highlight that as a separate specialty. So all three of these are going to be scheduled to come out in Q1 and Q2 of next year. Again, if you have your developer credential, come back and take these courses. Especially take the tutorials, those capstones, so that you'll come out with some real working code that you can play with. The other thing I'm really excited about to announce, and this is the first time anybody's ever heard this, so you guys are getting breaking news. In 2024, we are finally, and I've been wanting to do this for a while, creating an architect education series. We are still framing out what this content needs to be, and it is not just for architects. We are focusing on architecture. We are focusing on architect-directed content. However, where and when it makes sense, we're going to, again, be backing this up with real working examples. So our first installment is going to be just a quick 5-minute video, 5 use cases in 5 minutes. High-level overview of 5 different applications for Hazelcast. That's an outline for future development where we're going to dig into each one of those use cases in depth, and we're going to provide working examples of each one of those use cases. Now, these are not intended to be fancy demos and it's a really slick, and we're not going to let you look under the hood. It's exactly the opposite. The whole point of this is for you to look under the hood, pry into that code, and be able to see how we're making Hazelcast do what it does with all of the different bits and pieces that work around Hazelcast. So although it says architects, it's for developers as well. We've literally just committed to doing this, so I don't have any more topics on this. I don't have any outlines for this. If you, as developers, have architecture stuff that you want to see us produce, please send your, contribute that. Fawaz, I know you have your communication channels. Feed it to Fawaz, and he will get it to the right people, whether it's me or the other people that are working on this. I've been wanting to do something for architects for 3 years, so I am so excited that this is finally happening. And that's the end of my slides. I told you I would make it quick. No death by PowerPoint today.
So we can get the questions rolling. We got so many questions today. So
wonderful.
So first of all, can we just roll back on the courses? So what
Sure.
are the prerequisites? What kind of requirements I need in order to take the course? Do I need to, have knowledge with the stream processing? Do I need to have Java, or what kind of hardware requirements or software requirements I need in order to get started with education?
Excellent question. So what we're trying to make this as accessible as possible for everybody. So where possible and where it makes sense, we're going to be using we're going to be using Veridian where it makes sense, because then you don't have to worry about your system setup. You create a cluster in Veridian and you're done. And I'm actually working with our development team to get a training implementation on Veridian. So you sign in, you get a training instance, and it exists for as long as you need the training. It's going to be brain damaged because we don't want you using it for production, right? But you won't have to pay for it. That's the big thing, is that you're not going to have to pay for it. Don't worry about entering a credit card or anything. Where it doesn't make sense, and I'll give you an example of where in a lot of cases, we know developers work on your own laptop. So one of the things that we're going to be adding to all of our training courses is, hey, you know what? We know you start out on your laptop. We know you start out with Hazelcast running on your laptop. No Docker, no Veridian, no none of that. So we're going to write our lab exercises, the initial ones that break things down into those little components, to run on your laptop. No massive requirements. We've got our own servers out on AWS that you're going to be able to connect to for streaming sources and for databases. Again, just put those into place. So go take those new courses. It's going to be. I just feel like we've made so much progress in the last few months in being able to turn these courses into real life experiences, stuff that you're really going to be doing, and not just this self-contained, oh yeah, it all runs in Docker. Well, that's great. How does that work in the real world? Well, we're going to get you there. So yeah, all of our initial labs, they're in embedded mode because that's how developers work. But then what we're going to do is there's a whole lesson that says, okay, let's go from our development environment to production. At that point, you have a choice of running it in Docker, where you'll have a 3-node cluster running in Docker. Now for that, your laptop may have to have some memory requirements. Or run it in Veridian and push your code to Veridian. So we're going to take you through that whole process, including those wonderful gotchas of, yeah, it worked great on my laptop, but now I have to worry about serialization. Now I have to worry, if I'm doing pipelines, I have to worry about ordering because now I've got multiple processors instead of one. So we're going to take you through all of that in the training, so you know not just how to do it, but you also know where it can break and what you might have to fix when you move from that, yeah, it all ran on my laptop, to the real world. So these are the kinds of the innovations that we're making to the training to make it just that much better and that much more real world for developers. As I said, I'm really excited about that, because again, my own personal perspective, the content and the explanations of how things work has been great. The practical side of it, we've fallen down on that. And I won't go into the whys. That there's reasons, but we're fixing it, and that's I get to fix things that have been broken. Can you tell I'm excited about this? There's been some changes, and it's awesome. It's fantastic, and it's all in service of the audience, understand developers, guys. I am an advocate for you as well. And, uh, when I hear that this is great, but it doesn't work right, or this is great, but we could really use this thing needs to be easy or whatever. I am another voice that can contribute. I'm not necessarily a strong voice, but sometimes numbers. Okay, so if you run into something in the training where you say, you know what, that sounds great, but it just doesn't really work in the real world, please tell me. Um, as I said, Fawaz has feedback aspects, but you can always email training@hazelcast.com. And
Sure.
hopefully you will remember that email because it's pretty easy. Training@hazelcast.com does get to me. And then I can also, I can take that information and forward it on.
So we have a large community for stream processing. So this is a great opportunity for anyone watching us now. If you would like to actually feedback on our training, you can do so on
Please,
our
please, please.
community Slack or on our Twitch, or feel free to reach out to me or our training team. But also at the same time, if you would like to contribute to our new and future courses, again, this is again great opportunity to have your feedback and it. So another question I've got here for you is about stream processing.
Mhm.
And essentially, Hazelcast scored as strong performer on the Forrester Wave,
Mhm.
and you will see QR code on the screen. So the question is there a value taking course to learn about stream processing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Again, where I would start with it is with the introduction course. Introduction to Stream Processing is the full title of the course. Introduction to Stream Processing with Hazelcast. But it's also an introduction to stream processing concepts, right? So understand what stream processing is in general, but then see how Hazelcast is doing it. Now that course is SQL based, and we did that deliberately because you can use SQL to write pipelines for any programming language, right? You can, as long as all of our clients, whether it's Java or Python or C Sharp, have a SQL interpreter. So you can write a pipeline in any language and then submit it via your client. If you want to go to the next level, then there's our SQL course, which we're going to be doing yet more with SQL when that course comes out. Or there's the writing pipelines course, which is specifically using the Java API. Um, they're not let's be honest, they're not at feature parity. You can do more with the Java API than you can do with SQL. That's not to say that SQL is wrong or bad, or it doesn't it's not production ready. It absolutely is for a wide range of use cases. But there is some stuff that you can only do in Java, and it's more to do with the complexity of calculations. I mean, SQL, and that's not a limitation of our implementation. It's SQL itself can only do so much. It's a database language. It's where we get excited with it is that we can do all of that stuff in real time, right? So we're not just limited to stored data. We can do all of those searches and those joins and conditional statements and everything on real time data. Seeing those results as the data comes in. So, and we do that, right? Again, practical examples. You take the intro course, you will do that. You'll not only do it, you'll do it twice because there's two different tutorials.
Yeah, that's great. So the other question is, I will take that question because I've seen this question a couple of times before, and now it's coming back again. Is how does Hazelcast compare to technology for stream processing and fast data store? And my answer always comes back to trying out Hazelcast. And obviously, if you want to compare Hazelcast, you need to compare about simplicity, about performance, but also a very important element, which is quite often missed, is learning curve. How long it takes to learn this concept. So would you say this training help in speeding up learning in terms of using Hazelcast and running pipelines?
I think it absolutely does. And so here's, my dirty secret. I'm not a developer. I'm not a programmer. That's not what I do. I'm an education expert, and I have developers who are subject matter experts for me. Having said that, I understand how stream processing works. I understand how the how Hazelcast is doing both the stream processing and the fast data handling within a system, and it's a single system. And I think that I don't think we can overstate the advantage of having one platform that does all of that. Um, you don't have to worry about your streaming data is over here and your static data is over there, and how am I going to get the two to work together? And I have to I'm having to build these connections, and right, I'm writing over here, half my program sits over here, half my program sits over there. It's all in one system, and that's you know yeah, even I get that. And again, I should say, as I say, I'm not a developer. I am a very good repurposer of code, right? Give me working code and I can tweak it and make it do things. So as a non-developer, I am writing applications. The tutorials that you're going to get are ones that I've written with assistance. So you can see, I can hear the entire developer lounge going, "Oh my god!" No,
Yeah.
I'm working with my subject matter experts, but I'm creating the tutorials. I'm creating the concepts. I'm creating the ideas. I'm working with our developers to create the data sources and syncs. But the concepts, the initial ideas of what can I do with this, that's coming from me. And encoding the solutions with assistance is coming from me.
Yeah, that's great. So this is how easy it is to
That's
learn.
how easy it is. That's how easy it
Yeah,
is.
that's great.
As somebody who, I still, um, when it comes to writing Java lambdas,
Yeah,
that's I'm not an expert by any means. I could not go out and get a job as a developer, but I can make this work.
sure.
So
I've taken the course
that's
myself.
how easy it is.
Yeah, I took this course, and so many took this course. So definitely, I will encourage anyone watching us now to go check our training on hazelcast.com and make sure. So one final question uh, before I let you go.
Mhm.
So we touched briefly on badges and certificates. So the
Yes.
question is, what is required exactly to get this badge, and why it is important to have this badge?
Okay. We're actually introducing new badges. The current developer badge is a credential, it's a learning path. You need to take 6 courses. There is currently no test. So once you finish those 6 courses, you get the badge. Uh, Down the road, maybe we may do some testing, but for now, all you got to do is take the training. Uh, we're adding interim badges, right? So if your deal is just stream processing and that's what you want to do, take the intro course, you'll get a badge for that. Take the writing pipelines course, you'll get a badge for that. Take the SQL course, you'll get a badge for that. So it shows that your specific expertise. If you take the developer credential or if you have the developer credential, go back and take those new courses and you'll get those new badges to show that you're staying current with Hazelcast. If you're just now starting to work on it and you finish, it will be, as those new courses come in, they'll replace the old ones in the badge. So the badge is always going to be staying current. If you started the badge 6 months from now, you will get 4. If you start the credential, you'll get 4 badges. You'll get intro, no, 5. Hang on. Intro, writing pipelines, fast data, SQL, and your developer badge. So you'll have 5 credentials or 5. I'm sitting here holding up 6. You'll have 5 credentials to add to your profile to say, hey, I'm not only current with Hazelcast, I've done my due diligence, and I got it all, baby.
So yeah, that's great to hear. So once you have these badges, it's not only specifically for Hazelcast, but also like for stream processing as well as fast data show as well distribute.
Exactly. And that's the, I mean, we're showing you how to do these things on Hazelcast, right? But again, remember, we're training you and we're educating you. You will learn about stream processing conceptually, and then you're going to do it with Hazelcast. You'll learn about fast data, but then you do it with Hazelcast because we're Hazelcast. I mean, I'm not going to teach you how to do fast data processing with one of our competitors. That makes no sense.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, to finish it off, like I got the questions for you, if you don't mind. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So tea or coffee for you?
Coffee.
Coffee. Here you go. Morning meetings or afternoon meetings?
Oh, mornings, please.
Morning. So that's the thing. Every time if you work globally, it becomes really hard to arrange like morning and like I've got a couple of guests here. They say morning, and then if I like try to imagine how to match between morning person in the UK and one person morning person in the US, it's just
It
or
yeah, it doesn't work for well. I mean, basically, I'm on the west coast of the United States, so I'm behind everybody. I'm flexible. If you need me to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, don't expect me to look this good. I'll turn my camera off, but I'll be able to talk to you.
sure pizza or pasta for you.
Ooh, I make both, so homemade anything.
Homemade anything. Dogs or cats?
All of the above. I have 3 dogs and 7 cats
Amazing. I don't know how you managed to do it, Andy.
and 2 goats.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, thanks so much for your time. It's been a great pleasure to have you here and explaining our education, our courses, as well our badges. Any final thoughts or any final words you want to share with our community?
I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear the good. I want to hear the bad. The communication from education has been a one-way street for a very long time, and I really want to hear back from. Obviously, I want to hear that the training is the best you've ever taken, right? So if that's your experience, please share that. My boss likes to hear that too, and it's always good for me. But if there's something wrong, something doesn't work, if it's just it's not hitting the spot for you, I need to hear that too because I can't fix something that I don't know is broken.
Yeah, sure.
So training at hazelcast.com. Seriously, send it to me. I read everything. I do something with it. I don't just that you're not just sending it into an echo chamber. I'm absolutely committed to making the, the whole purpose of training is to make our customers, our users successful. And I am absolutely committed to that.
Yeah. Thanks
Help,
so much.
help, help me do that.
Thanks so much, Andy, and thanks for everyone tuning in for day 11. You are a great to watch us tomorrow as well for our final of 12 days of DevRel. So make sure to sign up on the QR code. You see it on the screen on the or the link down in the comment section below for the final session of 12 days of DevRel. Thank you so much.
Thank you.